Dear friends, greetings to you. May all of you be in the best of health and spirits. I wanted to review with you a couple of lessons from the past, starting with Shabbos study. And these are in reference to our conversations lately about such things as the variety of experiences of human beings, the Infinity Project, etc. So, to help you get a better sense of those ideas, I'm going to read to you a passage in English, and then I will give the Persian from Lahiji. So the great commentator Lahiji, who wrote the Mafati Ali Jaz fi Shari Gulshan Raz, keys to the inimitable eloquence of the Garden of Mystery. I'll primarily be reading his commentary on two lines from Shabbos study. So if we take this edition of my translation, the two lines that I'm going to be looking at are, starting at couplet 150, in the niche known as the core of the heart, the Lord of the two worlds makes a home. Within the heart, both worlds have been joined, sometimes showing Satan and sometimes Adam. In the niche known as the core of the heart, the Lord of the two worlds makes a home. Within the heart, both worlds have been joined, sometimes showing Satan, sometimes Adam. And I'm only going to give you the commentary to the second line, second couplet, I should say. And this is my translation into English from Lahiji's commentary. He says, "It is because the human heart is the theater of the divine comprehensiveness, and because the realities of the apparent and hidden levels called the two worlds are gathered there, that all of the divine names in their contradictory relationships between what is majestic, Jalali, and beautiful, Jamali, manifest in the heart in accordance with its receptivity. Since in each moment the heart reveals a different manifestation and articulation according to the diverse properties of those names, it may sometimes become Iblis when overwhelmed by the diverse properties of God's names of majesty. This is because what is called Iblis manifests particularly in the names of majesty. At other times, by virtue of the effects of the qualities found in the names of beauty, the heart becomes Adam. This is because the qualities of beauty prevail in Adam over the qualities of majesty. In accordance with its comprehensiveness, the heart does not remain for 2 moments in the same state. In each breath, it is in another world, and in each moment, it reveals itself in some new quality or divine articulation. So what I want to do now is to read the same passage from Lahiji, which will include the lines from Shabastari cited, but I'm going to be reading the Persian, and then we'll return to consideration about this passage. Here he says, Daru dar jam gashta har du olam. Gahi iblis gardad gah adam. Chun dil insan mazhar جمعیت الهیه است و حقایق مراتب ظاهره و باطنه که هر دو عالم عبارت از اوست در دل انسان جمع گشته است و تمامت اسمای متقابل الهیه از جلالی و جمالی در او به حسب قابلیت ظهور یافته و هر لحظه به موجب تصاریف احکام آن اسما به ظهور و شان دیگر می نماید. گاهی به حکم غلبه اسمای جلالی ابلیس می گردد، چه ابلیس مظهر مخصوص اسمای جلالیه است و وقتی که دیگر و مقتضای آثار احکام اسمای جلالی آدم می شود، زیرا که در آدم صفات جمالی غالب و صفات جلالی مغلوب است و دو ساعت به یک حال نیست و هر دم در عالمی و هر لحظه به صفاتی رو نماید. So that's the Persian to the paragraph that I have read to you in my English translation. And so again, what we see here and what interests me here is going back to our many conversations about Tawhid, and that it is the human reality that can manifest and can accept and can show that unification, that Tawhid, that incorporates qualities, some that are expanding vastly into the domains of mercy, beauty, ecstasy, and at other times contracting and narrowing and darkening according to those qualities of majesty that are required by the very nature of the divine names according to God's own description of them. So you might want to listen to the paragraph in English or Persian a couple of times, and hopefully it will become more clear to you what he is trying to say. That is both Shabastari and Lahiji. So the only other thing that I wanted to pass on to you today, or to discuss with you today, is an expression in the Naqshbandi way, which is Dast bakar, dil bayar, the hands at work and the heart with God, with the friend, which is God. And this, when I traveled with a number of friends to Bukhara, maybe around 10 years ago, astoundingly, as you travel from Samarkand and as you're entering the area of Bukhara, where Bahauddin Naqshband is and many other of the Khwajagan are buried, you see this right on a placard as you enter Bukhara. So, Dast Bakar Dil Bayar, the hands working and the heart is with God. Now, one of the things that I wanted to point out to you here is when we read about, especially the Naqshbandis, but also other Sufis, we find that manual labor has a very important place and is highly regarded among the Turuk who practice this. And I would like to think that I have some insight into this because all of my life, my working life, I have been a carpenter, a boat builder to be more precise. And what I've learned about this, both in myself and by observing others, is how incredibly important, valuable manual work is. And by that, I don't mean to limit it to carpentry or boat building. What I mean is it could include cooking and gardening and house building and so many other things that are practical things, down to earth. Because this phrase, the hands with are working, with which we're working, and the heart is with God, it's not as simple of a phrase as you might imagine, because what's assumed by the Naqshbandis and others in this phrase is that much of the time the man or the woman is engaged really in a domain of unreal fantasy or unreal ideas or diversions of all kinds that do not really allow that linkage to take place, that linkage being the activity of the nafs and the activity of ruh, of spirit, that was blown into us, as God has said in the Quran. So the value of manual work, manual labor, is to try to, first of all, to pick something which you may have already done, to dedicate yourself to it, whatever kind of work it is, manual labor, as I said. Incidentally, it could also be in the arts, but particularly it's in the more simple activities of manual work. And if you do so, and you cultivate this over a long period of time, you will see that it does not interfere with your perception of the awareness of spirit, so that when, God willing, you are experiencing the manifestation of spirit in your sadr, when you are experiencing this, you will see that that experience will remain far more durably with you when you are engaged in simple manual work. And not only that, but the manual work will improve substantially as well. So, I realize that many, if not most of you, do not make a living through manual work. But that doesn't mean that you cannot adopt some kind of manual work and devote yourself to it. I recommend it in particular, as do the Naqshbandis, after you have been sitting for a long enough period of time in zikr to have the nafs settled down and to see some evidence, some feeling of the spirit within you. And then after that, you will be preserving that and enhancing that when you go on to doing whatever the activity is in manual work. So, that is my advice to you. And to become, as I have tried, a simpleton, sada dil, someone with a simple heart, as Rumi extols in the Masnavi. May God bless you. Thank you for listening to this.